Tim and Sid. Time for Tim and Sid. Time for Tim and Sid. Time for Tim and Sid.
Oh, yeah. It's time for real sports talk with Tim McCallum and Sid Sexero.
If you're wondering, yes, another extended version of Tim and Sid here on Sportsnet. Blues and Bruins tied at 2 games apiece. Game 5 tonight in Boston. We are now less than a half an hour away from Hockey Night in Canada's coverage right here on Sportsnet.
Nick Kypreos joining us live from TD Garden in Boston, site of Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Final this evening. Kipper, it's great to see you. The Chara storyline has absolutely taken over. Good to see you. We got a thumbs up. The Chara storyline is completely taken over. Is he playing tonight?
We all believe he's going to play tonight. He's going to take warm-up. You don't even make warm-up if you're not cleared by the doctor. So the sense is that he's going to do whatever he can to protect the mouth area, and he's good to go. Matt Grzelcyk, on the other hand, various reports that says that he won't play. Now, granted, Matt Grzelcyk isn't exactly like getting Drew Doughty back in the lineup. So, you know, unfortunately, he's a solid depth guy, but they'll have to make do with hopefully a Chara that can still contribute defensively.
Yeah, that's the question, is how good can he be? I mean, we were going through Derek Stepan in the Eastern Conference Final, trying to gut through. He missed a game, came back, and was effective for the New York Rangers. Can Chara be effective with what most of us think is a broken jaw?
I think so. And let's face it, you're not getting a fast, mobile guy. You're getting a guy that can defend. And when you consider the hard forecheck of the St. Louis Blues, he can absorb some of that. And when he's taking a lot of those hits, it means that Charlie McAvoy isn't. It means Krug necessarily isn't. So that's the one thing. With that reach and still the ability to read plays, there's still a lot of room on the ice for Zdeno Chara. And that goes without saying, the other aspect that he brings, and that's that inspirational leadership to a group of guys, and including Bergeron, that you can't measure. Just having him around, having him on the bench. You know, we believe that he's wired shut, so not exactly the most talkative guy will be Chara tonight, but just his presence, I'm sure, makes a lot of players feel better about their chances winning tonight.
Yeah, like Bergeron's played through some ridiculous injuries as well, but this is like legend. Like, this will go down in Boston lore, will it not?
I think you need a win. I think you need to win the Stanley Cup. I think that helps. That definitely adds to the story. But he will be that guy anyways, Tim.
Yeah.
He's going to be a guy that we're going to look upon and say, hey, they just don't make him anymore like that. And there's a reason why he's 42 years of age and he's still playing 20 minutes a night and still regarded as the face of the Boston Bruins in so many ways. And it's like a cherry on top to an unbelievable career, and especially in Boston, where he'll go down with the same status of other great athletes from Boston.
Kipper, one of the storylines with St. Louis as each of their series has progressed is that the physicality of their forwards has just worn down the other side. And they got 9 forwards, 6 feet, 200 at least. If you know full well Chara's in the state he's in and you see him in the corner, what's your mentality?
Pound. Just pound. And hope you get it might need a step ladder to get to that jaw area, but you don't hold back on him, and you just, in many ways, you almost feel like you're playing against San Jose, and they were able to get that knockout punch against a guy like Erik Karlsson, Pavelski, Hertl, and that's the type of mentality you have, that you hit hard early in the round in terms of game 1 and game 2, and then the payoff is with your knockout punch. So I believe that the Blues are going to come out smelling blood here, and they're going to go after everybody, including Chara.
Listen, it's not often that we sit with a Stanley Cup Final tied at 2 games apiece and are hearing the type of things that we are hearing from in and around the rest of the league as we await the start of free agency, as we head to the draft, where a lot of things have gotten done over the last little while. The Leafs seem to be leading the charge after Nikita Zaitsev kind of made it clear that he wasn't going to stay. Where are the Leafs on moving pieces, and how many teams are sniffing around the Leafs right now?
I think a lot, and in many ways, a lot of the clubs are watching the Toronto Maple Leafs closely. They know the scenario, and then they know that there's a few teams that are pressed up against it, not just Toronto, but Pittsburgh and Chicago, but the Leafs in particular. And I don't think it's doom and gloom where a lot of people think that the Leafs are up against it. I think it's going to be a scenario where they will move Marleau and they will move Zaitsev, and it might cost them some prospects or maybe even a draft pick, but they are movable components off their roster here, and it will free up close to $10 million, and it'll make it that much easier to sign Marner. And so much talk still about offer sheets, but everybody keeps telling me it doesn't matter. The Leafs will match anything, and maybe that is enough to maybe scare off a few teams. We'll wait and see. But, I need to see it to believe it on the offer sheets moving forward. But the Leafs will free up, $10 million, and that's a lot to play with for Kyle Dubas.
Will $10 million get it done for Marner?
No, I don't believe so as of now. And everybody's got their right to change their mind and take whatever they want to take. But the belief is that he's got to be in the ballpark of Matthews and Tavares. And if that's the case, then I think he'd be looking to a similar situation as Matthews at 5 years, between $11 and $11.5 million. And I think, again, if the Leafs feel like their backs are against the wall, it's a contract I think that can still happen. It might mean that they got to go to the Marlies and pull up a few defensemen in the process, and you don't necessarily get to replace Jake Gardner's $5 million on the back end, and that would be at least the way they would start the season. But I don't think the Leafs are thinking that Marner's going anywhere but staying in Toronto.
All right, we're going to do some breaking rumors very soon because there's a lot floating out there, and a lot of it is because we're now paying RFAs in the National Hockey League, and that's just become expected. One of them in Calgary has caused a lot of chatter, and I wonder if Matthew Tkachuk's new deal is in some way, shape, or form affecting the fact that TJ Brodie and Travis Hamonick's name are out there on the trade market as well.
Yeah. That might be the case here, and again, similar scenario here. And I think in a perfect world, to free up some money in Calgary, they'd entertain offers to move James Neal. But James Neal's got a heavy ticket here, and that would be a scenario where you might have to hold back some money moving forward. But there's some teams interested in James Neal. I think Nashville would entertain having him back. I also hear Edmonton would have some interest in James Neal, and I don't know if that means trying to move Lucic's contract back. How does that all play out? But, James Neal didn't have a good year, and a lot of it had to do with probably not being in the best shape to start, or the injury at the latter part of the season. But if he comes in with a good mindset and gets himself in great shape, there are some teams that think that he can restore his 25, 30-goal season.
Wow.
Kipper, great stuff.
Yeah.
Enjoy what we will call down through the years the jaw game tonight between the Bruins and the St. Louis Blues. And we'll be watching. Thanks, brother.
Okay, guys, enjoy the night.